Being my final talk, such as it is, for Ongo, I thought I would just speak a little bit about maybe the essence of the Ongo teachings. I've been talking a lot about the Bardo for 3 months, 2.5 months here. And it's been a really rich exploration for me to look at this from a Zen perspective. It's I think it's a helpful, way to look at practice. But I'm curious how you find it. So I thought I would say a few words, in a sense, maybe summarizing what I feel to be the most helpful and important parts of this. And then we can sit, and then I'd love to go around and just hear what your experience of your Bardo or Bardos have been over the last few months, how you've been practicing with them. So this Bardo is, I think it's become clear, because I've said it over and over, that it's the nature of our existence to be the Bardo. We're always in transition. There's always change. One of the 3 seals of Buddhism is impermanence. Impermanence, no self, and dukkha nirvana. That 3rd seal it's like both suffering and then the release from suffering. Now, this impermanence is just a primary seal of Buddhism. Everything is always changing. All phenomena are always changing. Right? So the Bardos help us to really see this at the most intimate level, at the most microscopic level, that everything is always changing. Because we can really appreciate this at varying levels of, say, grossness. Right? We're always, tend to fixate on certain things and keep them around for a while. It's like, well, this relationship is always going to be here and has been here for a long time. Or this job has been here for a long time and it's going to be here. But we miss all of the subtle transformations and shifts and changes whenever we focus on, what is persisting. Do we ever really see those things as new, completely new? It's a completely new configuration in this moment, moment to moment to moment. Our habit patterns of our mind are not really geared around appreciating this constant transformation. Our understanding and our orientation of ourselves is based on our stored memory and our ideas about the future, and kind of fixates us in time and space. So there's a whole lot of that going on, which subtracts from and diminishes the full appreciation of the ever-present transformation and movement that's happening. And there's kind of a distortion, you could even say a violence, that's perpetrated when we really impose our ideas of how things are onto our lives. There's this statement from John Wellwood, the spiritual psychologist: all idealism is a form of violence. Some of you have heard that. All idealism is a form of violence. So we have this idea in our minds about how things should be, and we have an idea even of how they are. And that idea of how they should be naturally leads to judgment or preference, depending on how strongly we hold that ideal when something deviates from that ideal and isn't the way that we want it to be. So the more lightly we hold that ideal, then the more lightly charged that preference or judgment is. But that ideal is ultimately not going to do full justice to the reality of the situation, which is always changing. And something that might be appropriate or true in one moment might be inappropriate or untrue in the very next moment. So one thing we very much gain from our Zen practice as we deepen over the months and years is this incredible pliability of our own emotional experience. We tend to not hold on to things so much. If we feel them deeply, then we feel them changing, because everything is always changing, including the energy of our emotions. I can't say how often I was, just gifted to watch my teachers, whether it was Maezumi Roshi or Shishin Roshi or Shinko Roshi, just express very strong feelings and then move through them in a matter of seconds or minutes and be in a completely clear space. They could be very angry and then they could be laughing 20 seconds later. I've seen Maezumi Roshi do this too. Or click into, sternness in a very, very charged kind of mode from a place of, seemed to be nothing wrong. And then back out again. So we're always in transition from one place to another, from one state to another. And it's an opportunity to really deepen into our own nature, to really actualize as their own nature. Remember the image of the Bardo as the island in the current. The current is the in-between, it's the movingness of things, it's the in-between between one shore and the other. And that island is like an upwelling of the riverbed into consciousness, you could say. What lies below the changes? What is the ground of the changes? What doesn't change? Well, this mind, this very Buddha nature, awakened mind, is ever present. It is the ground for the changes. And this image of the island is that is an upwelling above. So when we can meet the Bardo experience with the ground of Buddha mind, of awakened mind, that's how we can use it to practice. So as we address ourselves to that which is changing and shifting in our lives, and the more it's the big stuff in your life, right? It's your job changing, it's your relationship changing, it's your practice changing. Those important things. And you really touch into those. And we move with the changes and we respond to the changes, then what is it that is the ground that is experiencing those things, that is witnessing those things? We know it when we feel it, when we're in Zazen. And then we deepen, we deepen, we deepen. And we bring alive this core consciousness that feels unmoved and unmovable in the midst of the changes. There it is. So our silence and our stillness are our doorways into that actualization. So this Bardo practice is a very powerful practice to really appreciate what is transitioning for you, in this moment. Because the ideas are fixed, but the fixed ideas is what causes the problem. Because the fixed ideas are about phenomena, and it's about the qualities of our life. But those are not fixed. Those are the things that aren't fixed. But the thinking mind attempts to fix them with the ideas and the knowingness and the projections. And that's ultimately going to do violence to and cause suffering. It's not in accord. I'm really appreciative for those things in my life that just remind me that things are always changing. Because my mind habitually wants to fix things and then plan and manipulate them. But kids are just great for this. It's like they're just, there's always something new. Pets, even better. Just the complete, spontaneity of the actions is to remind me, that it's always changing, and that my ideas are really laughable about how things are and how they're going to be. And so much wisdom, maybe that's too thick a word. Beauty and spontaneity, and just the bark of a dog or the sound of a bird. Where did that come from? It's that moment of pure expression, that breeze. Nobody planned the breezes. Nobody could tell, when the bird would chirp. That's what it's all about. That's what's happening with everything. So, in our sitting, I invite you to reflect on your bardos, reflect on your transitions, and what are the areas that perhaps are alive for you that you've been working on to be so present to the change that you actualizing, that witnessing consciousness, that awareness, that awakeness in the midst of the transition. And what does that feel like? And what does that give you? And how is that for you? That'll be the prompt. You can share.